mentioned that Osama's death might incite even more terrorist activities. What do you think is Singapore's position when it comes to security at this point in time?
Yes, whenever an incident happens in our neighborhood, I think one of the first things that our security agencies will do is to step up vigilance. And of course, you cannot be on high alert all the time, then you will have to find ways of dealing with it. But with the death of Osama, with the announcement of Osama's death yesterday, immediately security was stepped up. I think your colleagues who went to the PAP HQ yesterday for the press conference would have noticed, because that was the first question that was asked of the PM.
Well, but apart from that, can you talk about some of the measures when you talk about step up vigilance, perhaps at the airports or at the train stations? Can you talk about what exactly do you mean by stepping up vigilance?
Well, at our checkpoints is a key area where we must have stepped up vigilance and extra security on the lookout, and particularly taking a bit of time, and Singaporeans and other travellers may be slightly inconvenienced as a result of that. Of course, goods come in through many other ways, cargo, through items being put in the boot, car boot, or in the vehicles trucked in at our checkpoints, and so on. So you would see that this is also an area that the security agencies will be focusing on.
If I can just add to that. Sorry. It's no surprise that most of the other countries have also made the same risk assessment that this death, there is an increased threat of retaliatory attacks. So across the government agencies are doing their risk assessments, not only of Singaporeans, not only within Singapore, but of course Singaporeans who could be in places at risk outside. That's routine, that's part of the SOP. As DPM Wong says, you have to be vigilant, have to calibrate carefully, because we are a very open port, open sea, open air. But there is a different risk signature at this point of time, and you just have to see how events unfold. But certainly there has been a change.
So you're deploying more manpower on the ground as well, I take it, at the airports and the ports and all that?
Yes.
And you expect to have the state of affairs for the next few days, few weeks?
Well, that is a security operation. I'm not able to share with you on these decisions.
Coming back to the local issues, you talked about the profile of the different sort of voters that you have here in Bishan-Toa Payoh. Could you perhaps give us some numbers in terms of proportion, how big a proportion of the young voters make up as compared to those maybe in the middle and the older ones? Whether in terms of age, that would be the most appropriate.
I think for first-time voters, they are not much different from the national average. Would be about 7 to 8%, those who just come of age in the last 5 years. Then the next group, between the age of, 25 to 30, would be about the same percentage. And of course, there are also many first-time voters in Bishan and Toa Payoh and Shun Fu and Sin Ming and Thomson. If they have not voted in the 1988 election for Bishan and for Thomson and Shun Fu, or if they have not voted in the 1984 election in Toa Payoh, because that was when the last elections took place in Toa Payoh, 1984. And for here in Bishan and Thomson, it was in 1988. There would also be those who moved in from other constituencies where there was no contest for a long time, and they came in here in the last 20 years. They would not have had a chance to vote as well. In fact, they are very excited to vote. For many of them, they're very excited to vote, particularly for the children of the original residents who moved in the late 80s, or moved in the late 80s in both places. They have not had a chance to vote, so they're very excited. So I always ask them, are you a first-time voter? First-time voter either in terms of coming of age, or first-time voter in terms of not having voted here since the last 20 years. They're very excited too. Very excited. They're looking forward to vote. And when I talk to them, my sense is that their views of us and the party are quite positive.
Just coming back to the numbers, so that's about 15% or so, 30 and younger.
Yes.
And then the rest of the 85%, how many of them?
Oh, they'll be spread out. They'll be spread out in every 10-year age group. They'll be like that. Of course, when you reach 60, 70, the numbers will be smaller.
I would say that for those who are 50 and above, solidly behind us, because when we see them, it says, can you please support me? Instantaneously and spontaneously eating. It's almost, why wouldn't I? And it's understandable because they've seen this place transform. They remember Toa Payoh of the 60s and 70s. Then we have young couples here. And I would say of the young couples who own homes here, they see themselves as very fortunate because they know their friends and peers want to stay here but couldn't get it. And I've seen many young couples in their 30s. So first thing I asked them, how can you afford this place? I said, you bought it 3-4 years ago in the late 20s. Then they smile, they want 2 children. And there's a smile of contentment. So it may be different from young couples elsewhere, but they're very happy to where they have. The ones who are 21 to 30 are searching. It's a politics of ideas as much as it is about practical issues. They're searching for systems, and as DPM Wong says, I think we want to engage them. We want to hear their ideas because they will have to not only inherit, but run Singapore one day. And we started out some measures, but I think we can do more. And it takes a longer time to speak to them because you talk to an older person in your 60s, you just have to say a few words, your same bandwidth. The young, you have to be prepared to invest half an hour, even longer, on just one idea because they'll be back and throwing, But I think it's worth the time. We should do it. And I would say among all of us, we have many who are below their 30s who have taken leave to help us in our campaign.
Yes.
I have people from NIE, one ITE student, many in the university, and they are in the full swing of they're coming with us every day, and they're in the thick and thick of things. So we're very thankful for their help.
Yes, indeed, you see many young faces here among our volunteers, and they have taken leave to come here to join us in this campaign.
I think not just the fact that they take leave to join us. I think the enthusiasm with which they approach the residents, the fervour with which they want to get our message across, I think it's very encouraging. I mean, to the extent I would say that I'm very pleasantly surprised.
I met one young lady at a hawker centre because the parents was worried. So he said, we are very supportive of you, but the younger generation, then she said, speak for yourself, the younger said. He said, I disagree because she said, I support our government. She was a young lady, and yet she was telling the father, not all young people are thinking against. So they themselves want to be heard. And I got a young man who questioned me on Facebook yesterday. So I'm trying to engage him. So we are toing and froing on asking me, what can you promise to give us for the next 5 years? So I tell him honestly, we don't give promises. We have plans, we will engage people, and we'll do our best to make Bishan-Toa Payoh JRC a beautiful and a caring community. I told him exactly what we said. We have our manifesto. Please read it. If you have any questions, you can always ask me on my Facebook. So there's a real engagement. There's a conversation going on. So we want that to be something which we want to do on a regular basis.
One resident, as I was walking around the blocks, because when I was walking around, after chatting with resident, we load something up on the Facebook, almost instantly, they can see it. So one resident put on my Facebook, Mr. Wong, are you not visiting 184? I was at 183. Then I went to 185, and then 187. He said, are you not coming to 184? So I said, oh, I missed 184, right?
Coming over.
So after a few minutes, well, the post was off. So I said, what happened? Why did it go off? So one of my volunteers here, they all act on their own initiative. I don't know tell them what to do. Straight away, put out a comment on the Facebook and say, we're looking for the resident 184 who posted a message. Then they came back on, and they went on for the discussion and the chat. After one chat after another, and finally he said, well, I am living here in 184. I saw Mr. Wong, and I want to let him know that he took a picture with me when I was 4 years old. And then he posted a photograph of me and himself 4 years old. Now I'm 14. He's 14 years old. Not ready to vote yet. So you'll be surprised that, how young people are engaged. And when I took pictures with young families, and they have kids who are 8 years old, 9 years old, and at the end of it I said that you'll see this on my Facebook. And my next question is, do you have Facebook? And the young boy will go and say, I have. I will tag you. Then I say, you can tag me, and you can also see this photo of you on my Facebook. So the point is that in this election, we know we missed that group of young people who are not home. But we think we put it on the platform, we put it in the way to engage that group. And there are people following us, knowing what we do. Then, of course, the older ones don't go to Facebook. But I think they know what we do, because there was one unit I went to, a couple was standing there waiting for me while I was chatting with others. And when I went there, they said, Mr. Wong, you don't have to come here. You don't need to come and see us. I said, why? This campaigning time, I thought I'd come and say hello. No, you don't have to come. I know what you do. I know what you do already. So please go and take a rest. Take a rest, Look after yourself. No need to come here. What you have done, we can all see. These are some of the gratifying stories and remarks that we receive, which encourage us to continue to serve.
You didn't finish the story about why the 14-year-old boy took down the post.
Yes, because he said, please do not come to my flat, because my mother will know. My mother will know that I've been doing this. I say, fair enough. Fair enough. And he was not the only young boy who had a picture with me. I went to one coffee shop, and among the whole family, about 10 of them sitting around having a dinner. And this boy, I think about 17 years old, and he wanted to take a picture with me. First he shot me when I'm meeting other residents. Then I came to his table, he took a shot of me. I said, wow, not just me alone, what about we taking a picture together? So he passed his phone to his family member, took a picture. And after a while he scrolled, he said, this was me. And I was with him when I was a very young boy. That was 10 years ago. I was 16 years old. So, young people will remember, that's a kind of very interesting touch points that we have with young families and young people living here.
But also we are also aware the issue of new media is not as simple as it seems, because sometimes people can use the new media, tweeting here and there. Sometimes issues may not be true. They can put things, and then the reality and what is happening on the ground. So we need to be also concerned about that. So we always ensure that whatever we put up is a reflection of what we are doing, and we also want to keep the younger generation aware. Some of these tweeting, some of these postings may not be necessarily true. So we need to be concerned of that.
In last night's hearing, Mr. Benjamin Hui from SDP mentioned that if the opposition parties win from 10 seats out of the 82 they're contesting, the vote will still not sink. What is the response to that?
He doesn't know the functioning of government. In every GRC, there is one minister. In some cases, there are two, like here. So if you lose a GRC or you lose two GRCs, I think you mentioned 2 or 3 GRCs, you lose, say, 5 or 6 cabinet ministers, and we have 16 ministries. That means, 14 ministries means 14 ministers. Then we have other ministers in the PMO, which make up about 17 or 18 other ministers. Imagine the ministers whom you lose have portfolios, have responsibilities. Then you're going to find 6 or 5 new ministers from among those who are elected to fill those posts. Now, is that an easy thing to do? Well, he has not been involved in high levels of government thinking and process, and so he does not understand how this government works.
And leadership succession. So we have new leaders forming the 4th generation. And the public will have to decide whether what our plans to continue this strong leadership in terms of bringing in new and capable people if they are not elected as MPs, don't have a chance to serve and contribute in government. We don't have a strong succession plan. And they are essential for us for succession.
DPM Wong Kan from Today in Singapore. Yesterday, Senior Minister Tong, in his comments about the importance of Foreign Minister George Yeo introduced the alternate seats. It has serious consequences. But he also commented, and I quote, like DPM saying, you can say he let Mas Selamat escape, but Foreign Minister George Yeo, what has he done to deserve this? He's a core member, unquote. That is SMU's quote. So my question is, what is your reaction to that? Do you think it's a fair comment? And my second question is, the SPPT, they have said that we can do a better job here, and the voters should not worry about a bumpy transition if, of course, the votes go to them. What is your reaction to that as well?
Well, that is just SMCO's personal opinion. And if you have heard the Prime Minister 3 years ago, Prime Minister's views are very clear as to what needs to be done. And I don't need to repeat what the Prime Minister has said of me. If you didn't think that I can contribute, I won't be here. On SPP said that they don't have to.
Don't worry about bumpy transition.
Don't worry about bumpy transition. So
It will be a smooth transition.
they can do the job just as well. Well, I think they probably overestimate themselves.
And it's for the voters to decide. All we can say is that DPM has been here for 27 years running the town councils. We have been here some 10 years, some 6 years. If the voters feel that we've been doing a good job and someone else can do a better job or just as good a job, then they can vote for the other side. But they can assess the other teams who are standing and see for themselves whether these people have an experience running town councils, and if they've run town councils, what is the impact on their estates, and make up their own minds. I mean, this is something that voters will have to decide.
Just an example, the way they talk about the reserves and the sinking fund, apparently they're not aware of the rules and regulations. So they do not understand the issues of running a town council just by the fact that the way they talk about the sinking fund. There are rules and regulations to use.
What Mayor Zai is referring to is that you cannot indiscriminately spend all that you collect from your service conservancy charges. And that's a real reason for this. We've taken many years to accumulate a sinking fund, very prudent, using where is needed for special items. But you need to have a sinking fund so that you can continually maintain your estate in a good shape.
If I can add, I think any opposition party will tell you that they will run the town council, the estate better than the PAP. I mean, it's a statement you can make. What voters will be interested in, I think, will be your track record, because words are cheap, but action speaks louder than words. Look at your track record. And if you have no track record to speak of, you're starting out, then look at the manifesto. Are there specifics there you can read about? Are there specifics there that you can understand, and understand how they can do this better than us? And I see no specifics in their manifesto. So voters can read voters can judge for themselves, and voters can decide whether they can manage this place better than we can.
The issue of managing a town council is a real issue. So helping and just assisting in managing town council is not running town council. So I think we have to make that differentiation, and people will see the truth about what people can do and what people can say.
The sinking fund, I think the SPP mentioned 130 million. I just want to make sure that amount is correct.
No, anyway, our numbers are
It's published.
Public information. Yeah.
But doesn't mean that you can take the money from sinking fund and do what you like a state improvement, which means that whoever said it does not understand the role, the use of the sinking fund. Sinking funds can be used for cyclical maintenance, repair, redecoration, replacement of lifts every 28 years, and electrical wiring, etc. It is not for ordinary improvement projects. So they don't understand how to run the town council.
They also criticized your 5-year plan, and I know you mentioned a bit about the consulting bit, but they specifically said, it was drawn up without consulting residents, and I think in their words, cooked up 3 weeks before the election, and that's not something.
We have been around for the last 10, DPM has been around for the last 27 years. Our engagement process in many platforms, in our visits, in our MPS, we listen to our residents. Then we look at what they need. We look at the demographic of our estates, the elderly needs, the younger generation, the sports facilities, and subsequently we come up with design. Of course, we then consult them through our mini exposition. Our mini exposition, we get feedback from them, and we also ask them for votes. Subsequently, they decide what do they want in terms of
Actually, I would like to ask the SPP. They are across the road at Lorong 8. So I'm curious to know whether they have ideas about what to do for the area that we have near blocks 1, 2, and 3, which we have made plans to redevelop. Do they know what the residents want? Well, I have been there. The residents tell me very clearly that, Mrs. Teo, we like the idea of upgrading it, but please keep the ducts. I would like the SPP to tell me what the ducts are, because I know what the ducts are. The residents have been there. The ducts have been there for 30 years. They tell me the ducts bring back such fond memories for us. They are part of our childhood. Do anything you want, keep the ducts. And we are going to keep the ducks. So I'm curious. SPP, tell me, did you know that we had to keep the ducks?
One more example. Let me give you one example because
You get us excited.
they say the plans are drawn up without consulting with the residents. But let me give you one example. One of the things we have in our master plan is a new park just outside Block 301 in Shun Fu Road. Now, before we proposed that park, we did a poll of all the residents in Shun Fu to ask them, would you like a park there? And the answer was yes. Over 90% of the people living in Shun Fu wanted a park there. And that is why it's part of our 5-year master plan. So, to say that we did this without consultation and this is something we thought up just 3 weeks before, I think doesn't understand what we have done or how we go about doing things. These are statements made simply for political mileage without any basis at all.
Can I just add?
I-
Like you said, you're really got us very excited.
One last one. No more excitement after that.
About a year and a half ago, we were already beginning to think about how we want to introduce plans that will help to upgrade our estate more. And one of the things that as a team we agreed was very important was to involve residents in the whole process. We wanted to hear their views. We wanted to know what they cared about. We wanted to know what specific ideas they would like to see implemented.
Will you see the students?
Absolutely. So what we did was that we said one particular group we wanted to reach out to was the students. Not only did we involve the residents, We went out to the schools, we asked them to form teams, and we engaged them in a project called Imagine Bishan-Toa Payoh. The students were involved in interviewing other residents, including their parents, their relatives, their friends, and then this feedback that they collected were compiled, analyzed rigorously, and then we put together some ideas for further deliberation. We didn't stop there. We organized a community forum where we brought together residents. We encouraged the students who were involved in this project to present their ideas. And then, based on their feedback, based on the residents' input, what they liked, what they saw that they thought had very good potential, we formulated our plans. One specific example I remember very clearly was that the residents told us they wanted us to be environmentally friendly. They said to us, we care about environment, our state is beautiful, make sure that we do things in an environmentally friendly ways. So you see in our 5-year master plan very specific proposals on how we will be environmentally friendly, how we will create a sustainable environment. All of these efforts, the SPP says that we have put together the plan in 3 weeks. I would like them to organize the residents, organize the kind of same feedback that we got in 3 weeks. Let's see if it's possible to do that. When you think about the plans that they've put together, and you compare the plans that we have been able to put together, and you compare the process that we went through, I think the results are very clear. And I think the residents know this. They can see for themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This can be a separate story.
Imagine Bishan-Toa Payoh.
Don't forget the ducks.
If you look at the last paragraph of our manifesto first chapter on the vibrant estate for all, it's right there. We didn't put that in for nothing. You know? We also want our residents to be more active in the development of our estate. This is your estate. Your views matter to us. We will engage you and seek your feedback through social media and other platforms. Together we will make the estate a better home to live, to work, and play. Just few words, but it encapsulates the spirit in which we will carry forward the ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.